back in studio with us. Good to have you back, sir.
Good morning, Bob.
All right, I have to ask you, get that microphone over here. I have to ask you a very important question.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some statistics and
Sure.
numbers and inventory. When someone says, we only have 90 days worth of inventory left, what does that mean?
So what you're referring to is what we in the business call the absorption rate. So 90 days inventory would mean theoretically if no new listings came on the market,
Okay.
how long would it take to theoretically sell through that inventory?
Okay.
So, a 3 to 4 month absorption rate is kind of a balanced market. Anything less than that is more of a seller's market. Anything above that is more of a buyer's market.
Okay, so when we're at 90 days, that's kind of like the norm. That's kind of,
Sure.
you like
Sure.
to have that kind of list, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of variables, but a balanced market is a healthy market, but it fluctuates up and down
So,
over time.
typically speaking, is how many houses usually or homes come on the market in a typical month?
It varies based on time of year. Obviously, the spring is where you see a lot more inventory coming on the market. We do kind of hit a little bit of a lull this time of late summer, early fall.
Back to
and
school
that's-
stuff, right?
And that's traditionally on a yearly basis. We see this, and we're kind of in the middle of that lull now.
Yeah.
There is always kind of a push into early fall and fall. You see an uptick, and that's been a regular theme
Since day one, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty regular theme.
Okay, but we've proven that that winter doldrum thing, that winter lull, really is not as big as it used to be, right? Because people are buying houses 24/7. Right?
Home sell all year round.
Yeah.
And so it's important when you're looking at the strategy. How does your particular home? How does your particular price point fit into that?
Okay.
Entry level price points are less seasonal. People having leases are that first time home buyers move out of their leases year round, as opposed to people downsizing, that sort of thing. So home sell all year round. I would say you're getting people from out of state, from out of town, job transfers. Those aren't as impacted by the seasonality. But again, the old saying is, Thanksgiving time through New Year is kind of the slower time.
Okay.
But again, there's homes that are selling even
Yeah.
in 10 below weather
For sure.
winters. As well,
I've
right?
moved a number of times in the winter. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so where are we right now when it comes to homes on the market, prices, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the Minnesota Association just came out with their mid-year data points, and it's kind of interesting. They break it down statewide and then by county and local associations. And so statewide, the number of closed transaction, and this is the first half of the year compared to the first half of 2024, and statewide, the number of transactions are up over 9%, and which is significant because the last few years have been trending downward in transactions, and we've talked about that ad nauseum with interest rates and that sort of thing. Sellers tied to a low interest rates not wanting to sell, which puts a hamper on inventory. But you're starting to see more and more homes come on the market, and transactions statewide, like I said, are up 9.2%. What's interesting is if you drill down into the St. Cloud Association or St. Cloud area, metro area, the number of transactions is down almost 14%.
Really?
So that's over a 24% difference from St. Cloud to statewide averages. So the number of closed transactions through the first half of 2025 are down, 14% versus 2024.
So what would it take to get those numbers back up, or at least meet me halfway? Would it be a 5.5% interest rate? Is that all we're looking for?
Well, interest rates are going to be the single biggest factor of spurring, in my opinion, spurring activity. But there's other things as well, too. I think we're seeing a disparity. We're really starting to see more inventory in the upper end.
Right.
The last 2 months especially, you're seeing $500,000 plus inventory really explode relative to even 4 or 5 months ago. There was not as much inventory. So you're seeing buyers have a lot more selection in that 500 and up price range than they did even 3 months ago.
Is that because they're overpriced?
Well, it's all relative, right? If they're sitting there, again, the average days on market in that price range is between 90 and 100 days. So
Right on
it's
where it should be.
again, but we're all comparing to what the most recent, our norm of just last year is.
Yeah.
So in the big picture, it's very balanced, but when you're comparing to what we've experienced here in the last year or two, the prices have held steady. So in St. Cloud, the median sales price is right at 300,000, which is an uptick of just 0.2 of a point. So pretty much flat
Right.
from last year. Statewide, the average price, or the median price, excuse me, was up over 4%.
We have a ton of apartment buildings, right?
Yes.
That glut of apartment buildings, does that affect home prices?
Yes and no. What you're seeing is all these new apartments, the rents are substantial. I mean, from my estimation, the entry level rents in some of these apartment buildings that are 5 years or less are $1,800 a month and up.
That's a house payment.
Exactly. So it's a trade-off. I guess what I'm trying to decipher is the difference between the state averages and the St. Cloud area,
Sure,
and how to attribute that, because we're really seeing a significant discrepancy in the St. Cloud market versus statewide.
Well, also, you have to stop to think about this. You've got St. Cloud, you've got Waite Park, you've got Sartell, all of the surrounding communities, Sauk Rapids, right? And we all have different tax bases for each of the towns. We've got people messing with that and all that. It's going to take a while for these stats, I think, to shake out and settle down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting, you alluded it to in the headlines, and we'll see how this plays out, is if you've been paying attention to the headlines, the budget shortfalls and how that's going to impact property taxes here in Stearns County, especially. They're estimating, 10 to 15 to 18% just increases to make up for that. So that really, again, goes into affordability. So you talk about interest rates, even if they come down, if property taxes, which is part of your monthly payment,
Right.
That will impact the affordability or the purchasing power from a buyer's perspective. So there's a lot of moving pieces in the housing market, and it's going to be interesting the next 6 to 18 months how that plays out here locally.
I'm just going to say, don't wait, jump in, because it's not going to get any cheaper, in my opinion. Brendan, let's make sure folks know how they can work with you at VoigtJohnson Real Estate.
Yeah, online at VoigtJohnson.com or 320-774-2400.
Brendan Johnson, thank you.
Thank you, sir.